Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chrisley seeks comfort in her faith with dad behind bars. Chrisley knows best fans have been keeping an eye on the Chrisley family. Recently, Todd and Julie Chrisley were found guilty of fraud charges. The real estate moguls made a lot of money in their profession, but now it appears as if they lied about their taxes. Their children have been standing by them, however. One of their daughters, Lindsie Chrisley, has been pretty active on social media. She has shared with her fans how she was dealing with this bad news. She took to Instagram to share with her fans that her faith is what is really keeping her going right now. Lindsie Chrisley shares her feelings. In one of her most recent Instagram stories, Lindsie Chrisley shared how she was feeling. In her post, she wrote, "It is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to Him must believe that God exists and that He rewards those who sincerely seek Him." This is a verse from the Bible. However, it looks as if she and her brother, Chase Chrisley, both shared verses this week. The Chrisley children have been going through a tough time, and by the looks of it, their faith is what is getting them through it all. Lindsie continues to seek the support of her church during this tough time. She is very active there and additionally shares the important lessons that she learns at church. Lindsie Chrisley and her son, Jackson, spend a lot of time together at church. She feels as if he is the best person to go with. Jackson seems to enjoy going to church as well. Lindsie has often said that she lives for Sunday mornings with him. More tough times ahead. Aside from the fact that her parents are in prison, Lindsie has had more tough times. However, she actually had to testify in their court case. This was tough on her, and it would be for anyone. Additionally, she recently split from her husband, Will Campbell. The couple actually had to decide who would have their son for Christmas. Lindsie did not get to spend the holiday with Jackson this year, and she was devastated. However, it does look as if Lindsie has been able to spend more time with him. Chrisley knows best fans may remember that Lindsie had a bit of a falling out with her family. However, she actually took the time to reconnect with them all. There have been many rumors about her family, and she has tried to put them all to rest. Also, in another post, she told her fans, "Enduring loss in and of itself does not make us wiser, but how you choose to move through your darkest days will change your life forever." Lindsie Chrisley sat in the quiet corner of her living room, the early morning light spilling across the hardwood floor. A mug of coffee sat untouched beside her Bible, the steam curling upward like a prayer. She had been awake since dawn, not because of a pressing schedule, but because her heart wouldn't let her sleep. It had been nearly 2 years since her father, Todd Chrisley, began serving his prison sentence. And while Lindsie had long been estranged from her famous family, the reality of his absence still gnawed at her in ways she couldn't quite articulate. She turned the thin, crinkled page of her Bible, landing on a verse she had highlighted weeks ago. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." She traced the words with her finger, exhaling softly. Brokenhearted, crushed in spirit. It felt like the verse had been written for her. For years, Lindsie had been the outsider of the Chrisley family, the one who refused to play by the rules, who stepped away from the carefully curated image of perfection that her father prided himself on maintaining. Public arguments, interviews, social media posts, their family drama had played out like a soap opera for the world to see. There were times she wondered if the cameras had broken them, or if their fractures had always been there, hidden under the glittering veneer of reality TV. But the day her father reported to prison, the walls she had built around herself began to crack. "I don't know how to explain it," she confided recently to a close friend on her podcast, her voice shaking. "I just felt this overwhelming sense that I needed to pray for him. For years I was so angry, but seeing him walk into that prison, I just felt like my heart shifted." Faith wasn't new to Lindsie, but it had taken on a new urgency in this season of life. She had started waking up early to read scripture, journaling her prayers, and attending church regularly with her son Jackson. It was in those quiet moments, before the texts, the work emails, the chaos of the day, that she found a sense of
I've
peace
learned
she
that
hadn't
forgiveness
felt in
is a
years.
process.
She told her followers on Instagram one Sunday morning, "It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean what happened was okay. But I've had to surrender the bitterness I was holding onto because it was only hurting me." Forgiveness, however, didn't mean everything was suddenly perfect. Lindsie admitted that she still struggled with complicated emotions. She worried about her father's well-being in prison, about the toll his incarceration was taking on her siblings and her grandmother, Nanny Faye. At the same time, she wrestled with feelings of betrayal from their years-long feud. "I prayed for my dad every day," she said, "not just for his safety, but for his heart. For all of our hearts, because I think we all need some healing." Her faith had also become a source of guidance for her parenting. Raising Jackson in the middle of a very public family scandal hadn't been easy, but Lindsie tried to focus on what she could control. She wanted her son to see her choosing grace over bitterness, prayer over anger. On Easter Sunday, she posted a photo of her and Jackson outside their church, both dressed in pastel outfits, smiling despite the heaviness of the season. The caption read, "Resurrection Sunday reminds me that hope is never lost. Even in the darkest seasons, there's light." Fans flooded the comments with messages of support, many saying they were inspired by her faith and her honesty about her struggles. Lindsie was candid about the fact that she didn't have all the answers, but she leaned on her faith to guide her through the unknown. Privately, she had even begun writing letters to her father. At first, they were short, just a few lines, updating him on Jackson's school projects or sharing a funny story from her week. But as time went on, her letters became longer, more personal. She told him about her Bible study group, about the verses that spoke to her, about the nights she cried for their family. "I don't know if he reads them or not," she admitted during a recent podcast episode. "But for me, writing them is healing. It's like I'm talking to him in a way that feels safe." Lindsay's faith had also opened the door to conversations with some of her siblings. Though there was still tension, she had begun reaching out to Savannah and Chase more frequently. Sometimes it was just a quick text, "Thinking of you today," or "How are you holding up?" But even those small exchanges felt like progress. "I know we may never go back to what we were," she shared in an emotional post, "but maybe we can build something new, something healthier." For Lindsie, faith wasn't just about religion. It was about resilience. It was about choosing not to let bitterness define her story, even when it would have been easy to stay angry. She knew there would be more hard days ahead. There would be more tabloid headlines, more painful phone calls, more moments where the weight of everything felt unbearable. But she also knew she wasn't carrying it alone. Late one night, after putting Jackson to bed, Lindsie lit a candle and sat on her porch, listening to the quiet hum of the Georgia night. She opened her journal and wrote one final prayer before closing it. "Lord, help me to see my family the way you see them. Help me to love them even when it's hard, to forgive even when it hurts. And please keep my dad safe until the day we can all sit at the same table again." As she blew out the candle, a sense of calm washed over her. The road to healing was long, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was moving in the right direction.